Hi there, Ellen Johnson here with Needlepoint TV. I'm delighted to be here with you this afternoon. Before we get started, it's always great fun for me to know who's here with me. So if you would do me a favor and say hello in the comments, type in where you're watching from. And if you happen to be watching this as a recording too, of course, it's always great fun for me to see who watches and where you are in this great, big, wonderful world that we all live in. So I am so excited to be here with you today. We're going to talk a little bit about a gadget that I actually had somewhat forgotten about. I guess you noticed probably from the announcement that we were going to be going live today that it's all about using stretcher bars and a stretcher bar frame and how you actually get your canvas onto the frame. So, all right, good deal. So I'm seeing people are popping in, and thank you for saying hello. That lets me know you can see me and hear me okay too. So that's good news as well. So what we're going to talk about today is putting your canvas on a stretcher bar frame. First of all, I need to just say, I get asked that question all the time. Do you always use a frame, Ellen? And the short answer to that is yes, actually I do now. In fact, I find it much easier to use a frame now than I do to stitch just in hand. And when I say in hand, that means just holding my canvas in my hand. I've gotten so accustomed to working on a frame that, it seems really weird or awkward to me not to use one. So I just recently finished, let me reach down here and grab this. I just recently finished stitching this piece. This was a canvas that I taught a class on. It's called Lavender Fields. It's a Maggie and Company design. And I'm going to refer back to this to show you in just a second a little bit more about attaching a canvas to a stretcher bar frame. But something I wanted to grab too and go over quickly with you was the fact that stretcher bars come in they come in sets of two. And they also come in two sizes. I was getting ahead of myself there. They come in sets of two. So anytime you get stretcher bars, you're going to find two bars in each package. And in order to create a frame, you're going to need two sets. So what you do, and when you want to determine what size you need, you're going to have to measure the height of your canvas, and you're going to have to measure the width of your canvas, or this way, whichever way you want to hold it. But you've got to have the side measurements and the top and bottom measurements. And those are going to be the lengths of the stretcher bars that you're going to need for your piece. Now, I have this canvas, which is smaller and easier to manage. This is an Abigail Cecile design. And I know because I just put this together, the side of this is 8 inches long, and the bottom and the top are 10 inches. So I had a set of 8-inch stretcher bars and a set of 10-inch stretcher bars. And I put those together, and I'm going to show you how I put them together here in just a second. I have a video I'm going to show you. But you put those together, and then you attach your canvas to the surface, and this gives you a nice stitching surface to work on. So fingers crossed that the video is going to work. So I'm going to have to hop over here really quick. I think y'all bear with me. It's been a little while since I did this. Yep, that's where I need to be. All right, so we're going to share the screen. I'm going to share, and I'm going to need to get y'all to tell me if there is an echo, because if there is an echo, fingers crossed, maybe there won't be, because we don't want that to happen. But let me go ahead and share my screen, and we'll start watching that video on how to put a stretcher bar frame together. All right, let's see. Here we go. Oh dear, where did it go? Hang on. Of course, this is the one we want. All right. Okay, Ellen is going to cancel that share because you know what? I am a little bit afraid that is the wrong one, and we don't want the wrong one. So I'm going to close out a couple of things. Hang tight. And I have all kinds of things open on my computer screen, which, happens. But let's get rid of those things and just make sure that we don't have weird things open that are going to mess us up. So here we go. Now let's try again. Here we go. Okie dokie, where is it? There we go. That's it. Okay, so hopefully you're going to be able to hear this with no echoes, but here we go. Well, hello there. Today I'm going to show you how to put together a stretcher bar frame. You can see that I have my mini stretcher bars, and that's the kind that I'm going to be using for this video demonstration. So they come packaged like this, and I've already taken these two sets of bars out of the wrapping. They come in sets of two. This is an 8-inch pair and a 10-inch pair. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is take one of the side pieces and one of the top or bottom pieces, and you're going to want to fit them together. And I can tell you right now, they're not going to easily go all together, which is why I have this hammer here. So we're going to get to that in just a sec. But the easiest way to do this is to just fit the pieces together as best you can. You know, do the best you can to get them fitted together. This one obviously is a little bit trickier than, or tighter than the one on the other end. And then to put the other bar on the opposite side, then you're just going to fit these pieces together again, push them in as best you can. And this is where it gets kind of noisy. So you can see, I'll show you the corners. You can see I have the pieces fit together, but they're not flush, which is what our goal is. So you can see, you know, I've got some work to do with my hammer to get those to fit together snugly. All right, so now I'm going to recommend that you maybe turn the volume off because this is going to get kind of loud. But I bought this little hammer. Let me show you that. I bought this little hammer at Hobby Lobby, and it's super easy to use. It's very compact, so it's nice to be able to take it with you in your work basket if you're going to a class. It doesn't take up very much room at all. So, all right, so let's do the first corner. All right, I usually work my way all the way around to make sure that I get the sides all on the same edge done first, and then I turn it the other direction. So now, because this is 10 inches tall, it's not going to fit in my frame, but I'm going to go ahead and hammer it together, and then I'll show you what it looks like so that you can see. This really wasn't too bad. So just to make sure. All right, so now you can see that I have my frame. And I'm going to lay it down on the table so you can see what it looks like. That's my frame. To make sure that it's nice and squared up, all you have to do is take it and put it in the corner of a door frame in your house and push it up into that corner, the 90-degree angle. Put one of these corners up in the corner of your door frame and just kind of push it until it fits in there and everything gets squared up, because as you can see, these bars will wiggle. So, you know, we don't want them to be wiggling a bunch, but if you need to get this squared up, then that's the best and quickest way to do that. So that, my friend, is how you put together a stretcher bar frame. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Okay, so that worked pretty well. So that is indeed how you put together a stretcher frame. I see that we had a question popped up. Julia has a question. She says, I do have a question. Are they measured just below the join, or are they measured from tip to tip? And that is an excellent question. They are measured from tip to tip. So in other words, this canvas is 8 inches by 10 inches. And so you're going to want to get the stretcher bars that are going to be the same measurement as your finished, or as your canvas is. Your design area obviously is this, but your canvas is what you're trying to get on to match the edge of the frame. So another thing that I want to make sure that you do know about too is that typically you're going to have 2 inches from here to from the design area to the edge of your frame on all 4 sides. So you want to have that area there. That makes it much easier for you to work on the back side to tie your threads off, or to sink your tails. That's what I call tying the ends off on the back side. So another thing that you can do, and I'm just going to touch briefly on this, You can also do what's called stitching in the well. And what that means is that I would actually have this design on the canvas in a way so that the design itself would, the right side would be down in this little recessed area. That's what they call the well inside of the recessed side of the frame. So if you prefer, you can turn the canvas so that the right side of the design is down in this little well area, and then it makes it super easy for you to get to your back side of your canvas so that you can anchor your threads on the back. So people, there's not, it's either way is acceptable, I guess is the best way to put this. There's not a right way or a wrong way. It's whatever you prefer. So you can work it either direction, with whether the canvas is on top of the frame or whether it's the design is on the inside of the well, so that the back is where you can access this. So that is, that's how you attach a canvas to a, or excuse me, that's how you put a frame together. Now to attach the canvas to the frame, I did another video, but we're going to have to save that video for another day because I had some hiccups with the tech. So we're going to save the video on how to attach the canvas to the frame for next week. But I will go ahead and share with you a little bit about this gadget that I had told you about. So I know you're probably familiar with these things. These are tacks, brass tacks. And this is what you use to attach your canvas to a stretcher bar frame with. And it has that little blue thing on the inside. In fact, I've got this box here that's open already. So I'm going to get that out and you can see this is, basically, this is the equivalent of this. So you can order, lots of shops carry these. This is called a CORJAC tack kit. So the CORJAC tack kit, that's CORJAC, comes with these pieces, and then it comes with a box of tacks. I used all the tacks in this box to put this canvas on this frame. There were actually a few more because I had used some of them out of the box for something else. But anyway, it comes with a box of brass tacks too. So you get this little thing with a round handle on it, and you also get this tack remover, and then you get this box that's got tacks in it. So to show you, I guess what I can do, let me try this. So I'm going to borrow some tacks out of this box. I will show you one really cool thing about this. Watch this. It's magnetic. Isn't that the coolest thing ever? So you don't have to hold the tack. So it holds the tack for you. And then what you do is you find the place on your canvas where you want to put the tack. And of course, I can't do it with this particular setup, but you're going to, I'll show you. You put the tack where you want it to go, and then you press it in, and it's super easy to do. So I know you didn't see that, but this is where I put the tack right here. So what this does, this gives you some leverage when you're putting the tacks in. If you've ever tried to use these tacks just with your hands, you'll know that after a while, your thumbs get really sore. And I have a little bit of arthritis in my hands, so this gives you some leverage to push down on, makes it so much easier to put the tacks into the canvas, onto the stretcher frame. And then the nifty thing is that you can use this gadget, and if you put one in a place, let me see if I can find one that's out of line. I thought there was one on here. I don't see one. But anyway, so what you do is you take this and you slide it underneath, and you just kind of have to wiggle it to get it up under there. Oops, I caught my tape. Let me see if I can do this when I'm not at an awkward angle. There we go. So you slide it up under there, and then you just use this, you push down on the handle, and it pops the tack right out. And all you have to do is then just take it out. So super, super easy to use, and really, really helpful, especially like if you're like me and you have some arthritis in your hands. Now, I will go ahead and say the way that I attach a canvas to a stretcher bar frame is I start and put a tack here and a tack here. And then I come to the sides and put a tack in the center of each side of the canvas. After I've done a center on the top and a center on the bottom, and a center on each side. Then I come back and put a tack in on each of the 4 corners. After I've done that, then I go and I put a tack in between. So say we've got this situation here where I've got one in the corner and one in the middle. And then I'll come and I'll attach this tack in the middle between those 2. And after I've done that, then I'll come back and put one here and one here. And you can actually see this is the distance on a piece of this size. This is the distance apart that I typically put my tacks. Now you can come back and put another one in between all of those if you want to, but it's not necessary. At least I don't think it is. So there are some teachers who will tell you to make sure your tacks are touching all the way around. So that means you're going to use a whole bunch of tacks, even on a small piece like this. But I think if you've got them this close together, I think you're in pretty good shape. So I wanted to go ahead and show you that. I know, let's see, how do you just, okay. So, yeah, so Julia says this is, and this is actually a better example of what it should look like. So this is, I was saving this. She said, how many tacks do you need to use on your canvas? See in my Lavender Fields class piece, or the Abigail Cecile piece, I guess either one. She said, I see that you've used many more than I ever have, so I'm thinking I'm not using enough. That's a really great point. I tend to use more, especially on bigger canvases, because you want to keep the surface of the canvas nice and tight. Now, the nice thing about stretcher bar canvases is that, especially, well, you can do it with staples too. I tend to use tacks. I don't use staples on stretcher bar canvases. It's just a matter of, yeah, it's something I've always done. I guess you could use staples. I would probably use a staple gun instead of just a standard stapler if you were doing that. But I think you have more of a risk of splitting the stretcher bars if you do a staple gun. Here's the thing about stretcher bars. They're made out of balsa wood, so they're not real sturdy, and they will break. Now, this is one of those, and here's a good example. These are the 1/2 inch. So you can see, wait, excuse me, 3/4 inch. These are the 3/4 inch. These are the regular or the standard stretcher bars. So they're thicker. You can see the difference when I hold this up. Wait, I think you can. You can see that, yeah, you can see the difference there. This one is definitely thinner. These stretchers are definitely thinner. These are the minis, and they're 1/2 inch thick. These are 3/4 inch thick. Whoops, get that straight. And they're called standard or just regular stretcher bars. So what'll happen sometimes, although I haven't had it happen recently, these can break. So, you know, there are, and I will say they're easier to break than the standard ones. So if you're going to use a staple gun, just know that that's going to be a little bit harder on them than using the tacks. It's not to say that you can't. The one thing I would not do is use Velcro on a stretcher bar frame. Now, some people probably do, but I would not use Velcro, because what's going to happen is it's not going to have the sticking power that these tacks are going to have. I do use Velcro on scroll bar frames, but not on stretcher bar frames, because the entire surface of the canvas is exposed. You don't have anything, you know, rolled up and kind of holding things in place. So what happens as you stitch in and out of the surface of the canvas, the canvas will loosen some. So when you start with a very taut surface at the beginning, many times you'll end up with it being looser by the time you finish stitching the piece. And so what I suggest, if that happens to you, is that you just take it off and then you reattach it with the tacks again, and that'll tighten it back up. So that is how to get your stretcher bar frame put together. It's a little bit about the core jack set that you can use. Like I said, super helpful if you have any arthritis in your hands at all, or if you have strength issues in your hands. That is a really helpful gadget to know about and to have. And we will be having a blog post about this and getting your canvas onto stretcher bars this week on the Needlepoint, on the Serendipity Needleworks website. So that will be available for you on Thursday. And again, I will have the video available for you too. We'll do that next time. So I'll show you me actually putting the canvas onto the stretcher bar frame in our next episode of Needlepoint TV. Thank you ever so much for being here with me today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done that. That way you'll get notifications whenever we upload new videos, and click the bell. I think that's actually tells you exactly when something new goes up. So thank you for being here with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, happy stitching. Bye for now.